Imagine this. You come home after a long day at work, feeling like a champion. You're about to kick your shoes off when you notice that your living room is flooded. Water is everywhere, and your carpets are soaked. Your furniture is starting to look like it just came out of the ocean. What do? Do you cry? Do you panic? Do you call your mom? No, you watch this YouTube video and you learn how to dry out after a flood like a boss. And is brought to you by the Leave It to the Pros podcast. All right, if you're watching this video, it's obvious that you have a water damage situation, and I don't think that I really need to explain to you about why it's bad for you. But knowing what to do from here, now that you've found yourself in this situation, can be a bit daunting to know what to do. After all, water damage can cause some terrible issues with your home and your property, and if not properly handled right, can spread to being a real health hazard. So, let's talk about how you're going to handle this situation. First, you need to start assessing the damage. You're going to do this by identifying the severity of the damage. This is where you need to start to assess how far did this water go. Now, I'm not there with you. I don't know if we're talking about the toilet overflowed, you have a leaky faucet, or if the levee down the road just broke and your house is under 4 feet of water. But not all water damage is created equal, which is why if your water damage is extended to materials like drywall, wood, the subfloor of your house, other areas, you need to be aware that this is going to likely complicate the drying process. So let's talk about the different types of water damage. There's your nasty sewage type of water damage, which is my least favorite, but a rather common one in the Chicago area where ProTech is located. But there's also the all too common flooded basement. And one of my most feared types of water damages, which is the I was on vacation while the hose popped off the dishwasher and it ran the whole time I was gone type of water damage. Now, each one of these types of water damage have a different approach, but each one of them needs to start in the same place, which is a safe approach, because if this water has spread, you honestly have no idea what it might be interacting with, especially behind walls and appliances, which is why when a customer calls us for our emergency response team here at ProTech, we get somebody to their door within an hour, and that very first thing that they're going to do when they get there is shut the electricity off to your property at the breaker box to make sure that that water's not electrified, because it's not worth your life and it's not worth our life either. Which seems like this is a good time to talk about some safety precautions after all. And I'm not just talking about electrical safety. I'm talking about some of that personal protective equipment, because if you're dealing with something like sewage, it's going to be nasty, it's going to be stinky, and it can definitely get you sick. And there are all kinds of health hazards that you need to avoid. Depending upon where this water came from, it could be clean or it could be filled with chemicals. Now, this is something that you yourself are going to have to determine and make the call on about what it is that you should do. But when you start removing that water, that's when you can start to have hope that things can actually get better. Now, you may have to pump water out if it's your basement. You might have to use a siphon. Or if you're lucky, maybe you're just going to have to extract water from the carpets. Now, when we show up at the site, we're going to have to determine which one of these methods is the appropriate course of action. But we may use things like a wet-dry vacuum to suck the water out of some materials in things like carpets or a few other things. And we start drying out your property. This may mean that we take personal items and move them out of the affected area and let them air dry, or bring in air dryers, which are pieces of equipment that we use here at ProTech to have enough air moving that the stuff can dry out properly. And this is a great place for me to highlight that I cannot underestimate the amount of airflow and ventilation that is required to properly dry your materials. Now, sometimes I've gone to places and I've seen people dealing with water damage just pull out some box fans and expect that that's going to do something. Well, let me ask you something. When you pull that water out of the material by blowing air on it, where's the moisture going to go? Because it's still retained in the air of your house, which is another reason why we use dehumidifiers along with air movers when we come in to clean up a property and deal with this kind of situation. But once you got the water removed, this is really when it's going to become critical to disinfect and start sanitizing, because there are not only germs and viruses on many of these materials, but you may now have an issue with mold. So you need to remove mold spores from the air and from the items all around you. This is really the very first step in restoring your property, because before you can start repairing and replacing the damaged materials, you need to have a plan in place for how you're going to prevent the mold that is now going to want to grow behind all of this stuff that has been affected. And when done right, you can properly restore your property to the original condition, so it's like you never even knew that it happened. But when you do that, it's best if you have a really good idea about why this happened. So if it was something as simple as, well, the dishwasher hose popped off while we were on vacation, because we've had clients have that happen to them, then it will be easy to know what it is that you need to do. But for some people, it may take more action, like dealing with drainage issues around your house, dealing with clogged gutters, and installing sump pumps. Know your situation and what caused this, so that you don't go through and replace everything and repair it just for it to happen again. Now, I understand that not everybody watching this video may have insurance and can have somebody come out and properly dry their property for them. So you may be looking for some DIY drying method. Well, first of all, I would really like to say that if you're dealing with a situation where there was a great deal of water accumulation, you need a professional. And that's a great time to understand when you need professional help. So if there is sewage, chemicals, or a large volume of water associated, get some professional help. This is beyond your capacity. I like to give people the very best kind of help and recommendations, but it's not always easy for people to get access to the type of equipment that we use here at ProTech. So this is a good time for us to understand DIY drying methods versus professional help. Because when it comes to DIY drying methods, I'm going to be honest with you, they're never going to be able to match the level of thoroughness that professional help will be able to supply to you, because of the type of equipment that professional companies have. If you are considering hiring a water damage restoration company, I would recommend looking at something like their Google My Business reviews, their social media, or directory sites like Best Picks. That's where you can find ProTech Restoration here in the Chicago area, and we've been Chicago's #1 water damage restoration company for 18 years running now. And that's the kind of reputation that you want when you're looking for someone to take care of your damaged property. But when it comes to DIY drying methods, for those of you who are stuck with that, there are a few things to keep in mind. Firstly, it's important to ensure the area is safe and free of hazards before attempting any drying techniques. I want to reiterate that. Additionally, it's crucial to have the right equipment like a wet dry vacuum, dehumidifiers, air movers, and things that can go in and dry the bones of your house. However, in some cases, DIY drying methods are simply not enough. And if the damage is severe, or if you're dealing with contaminated water, it's best to seek professional help. Hiring a water damage restoration company not only ensures that the job is done correctly, but it can also save you time and money in the long run. Restoring a property after water damage can be a lengthy and complicated process. But with the help of a professional team, you can rest assured that your property will be restored to its original condition. Now, if you are looking for more information on water damage situations, like understanding your insurance coverage, understanding if the insurance company will cover your damage, or tips on successfully filing a claim, then check out our other videos. And if you have received any benefit from this video, please, from the depths of my heart, hit that like and subscribe button and drop us a comment. It makes such a difference in the algorithm if you do those things, and helps us get out the word to more people like yourself who are looking for solutions and answers in a critical time for themselves. If you're in the Chicago area, we here at ProTech Restoration have the expertise and equipment to dry your property out thoroughly, ensuring that every nook and cranny is properly restored. Don't attempt to tackle water damage restoration on your own. Leave it to the pros and we'll handle it. Remember, time is of the essence when it comes to water damage restoration. So hit us up with your water damage restoration issues.